latest ITV news in the Tyne region.
With Amy Lee and Jonny Blair.
Hello there and good evening. Thank you for joining us.
On tonight's programme. The aftermath of an horrific crash that killed Abby on her 18th birthday is released for the first time to warn young drivers.
It's the last thing you ever want to do, to go into somebody's home and be celebrating the life of that particular person, and then you're having to go into that home and tell them that that life is no more.
Also tonight, rough justice. The family of a murdered toddler on their fury that her mother, jailed for neglect, could be released early.
And window of opportunity, the campaign to save York Minster's historic stained glass collection from the impacts of climate change.
First tonight, the sister of a County Durham teenager killed by a speeding driver on her 18th birthday says she hopes lives will be saved. Her calls come as mobile phone and police body cam footage from that night has been shared for the first time by the police.
Abby Devaney was a passenger in a car which crashed on a country lane near Consett in 2023. 3 other teenage passengers were seriously injured.
The police were able to use location data from their phones to show the driver, 17-year-old Charlie Whittaker, was speeding. All of the footage in this report has been released with the consent of all families involved. Katie Cole reports.
This video was taken just minutes before everything changed for 5 teenagers from County Durham.
Where's everyone?
Police are at Brooms Lane in Consett. The driver whose car has hit a tree has also called his mum, who's at the scene.
Who was wearing the pearly white dress? Abby. What's Abby's last name? Devaney.
Abby Devaney was one of 4 passengers in the car. She was killed instantly. It was her 18th birthday. Less than an hour earlier, she'd been out with friends in Consett and had got a lift into Newcastle to continue the party.
As the car was coming in, Abigail's dad rang in. Apparently he's got some sort of SOS from his daughter's phone, like a crash SOS.
Abby's family are aware her phone has been in a crash. Police are about to deliver the worst possible news.
Will you and Smithy go and do the message with Dad?
It's the last thing you ever want to do, to go into somebody's home, especially when it's your little girl's 18th birthday and they're celebrating the life of that particular person, and then you're having to go into that home and tell them that that life is no more. And I can't even begin to imagine what that feels like, and I hope I never do. It's soul destroying for people.
Amy Devaney, who had taken this photo just hours earlier with her big sister, was in her bedroom when police arrived. She says she will never forget hearing her mum scream.
I went and I was like, what was wrong? And she just couldn't get any words out, and she was just saying Abby, Abby, and then I just kind of had to assume that something had happened because no one was telling me, and I was panicking, and I was so shocked. I was saying no. I just remember saying no. I just didn't want to believe it at all when it first happened, but that memory will just stay with me forever.
At the crash site, the 3 other teenage passengers are seriously injured. The 17-year-old driver, Charlie Whittaker, is arrested.
We'll see if we can get you checked out at some point.
Yeah, I least of my worries right now. I just feel like it's always the one who's to blame and always the one who's alright.
Whittaker tells police he lost control of his car on the country road as it went through a puddle, but they would soon learn he'd also been speeding.
We decided to use the mobile phone seized from not just Charlie, but the other people in the car, to see whether we could try and understand whether Charlie at any point was travelling too fast for the road conditions, and that's what we started to do.
Using location data from the phones, Police could work out that Whittaker's car had been travelling at more than 70 miles per hour, and his phone showed this wasn't the first time he'd driven dangerously.
We downloaded Charlie's phone and we found 20 to 24 videos of Charlie's manner of driving, whether that be using his phone whilst he's behind the wheel, whether that be speeding or doing dangerous overtakes.
He liked speed, he liked cars, and his driving on them videos at times was atrocious.
Any videos that will show you to be racing.
No comment.
Any videos showing yourself filming whilst driving.
No comment.
In his police interview, Whittaker doesn't say much, but when the videos are presented to him, he admits it was his fault.
He looked devastated. There is some footage that's been edited out where I get a little bit emotional across the table of conceding that he's upset, because I don't think any of us take it there's nothing nice in sat across the table of a young person knowing that they've killed somebody, and I know at that point he'll end up in jail.
Whittaker, who had also removed the black box from his car, which had been installed as part of his insurance, was jailed for 5 years and 4 months. How did you feel when you heard about the videos and the speeding?
I think it just made me angry. I will always be angry at him. I will. But as I'm getting older, I can see that he's also ruined his life. The huge ripple effect that this whole thing has had. Like his parents, he didn't go out that night with that intention, and I think I can separate his stupid actions from him as a person.
The footage of that night is chilling and is being released now in the hope it can show drivers what can happen if they try and show off.
I would never assume that something like this would happen to me. People are ignorant until this happens to them, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but I do want people to understand what it's like, and I think by showing the effect that it has on so many people, and it's not just the person who's passed away or the driver, it's their families and like the people who have worked like with like the case. I think it affects so many people, and I think people need to see that.
In terms of what officers were faced with at the scene, horrendous. These jobs don't leave me, and they don't leave my team members.
We could only use this footage to try and make a difference, whether that be showing it to young people within schools, in education setups, whether parents want to sit down and show their children it when they get the driving licence, and more importantly, after they've passed the test. Nobody drives like this during the driving test. 24 hours later, people think they're invincible.
It's not a game. It's not a game, and you don't play with people's lives. It's as simple as that, really.
She was so funny, like, she was hilarious. She just always, like, made people laugh.
Big smiles.
I think, like, it's the little things you take for granted. Like, she used to always wind me up and, like, steal my clothes. Like, I would do anything for her to come in and steal, like, my clothes or start an argument. I think it's just, yeah, it's those little things that you miss a lot.
Abby Devaney wanted to travel the world, and Amy says she will do that for them both. She also starts university in September, but every happy moment is bittersweet.
I struggle to enjoy things sometimes because I'm like, I just know that it just follows me all the time. Like, I know that all this has happened, and I think, like, I would love to have, like, a normal teenage experience and experience all this without grieving, you know what I mean?
A young woman who had everything to live for. Abby Devaney's family hope lives can now be saved in her name.
Katie joins us in the studio now. Katie, we heard the message loud and clear there. The police really hope this is going to make a difference.
Yes, and with the blessing of Abby's family, they've also made their own film, which they hope will be shared far and wide. Young drivers are disproportionately represented in fatal and serious collisions, and that's why the Police Commissioner for Durham, Joy Allen, has said she is backing calls for the graduated licensing scheme. That would put restrictions on new and young drivers carrying passengers and driving at night. It currently isn't in England, but it is in other countries, in France and Australia, and it's going to be introduced in Northern Ireland in October.
What's been the government response to that then, Katie?
Yeah, so we've asked them, will we see that here? It said that it wants to keep young people safe while supporting their access to work, social opportunities and education, and that's why it's not going to put in these blanket restrictions. It is consulting on other plans, though, which it says will make our roads safer, including making learner drivers have to wait up to 6 months between their theory and practical test. But it is the calls for the graduated licensing scheme that seem to be getting louder, including from the police officers who you heard from in my report. And Joy Allen has said that if it could save just one life and spare others the heartbreak experienced by Abby's family, then it would be worth it.
Okay, Katie, thank you very much.
Next tonight, to the controversy and confusion caused by the government's plans to free up space in overcrowded prisons.
Today, Andy Burnham paused his Prime Minister predecessor's plan to give early release to some serving less serious sentences.
One of those still potentially eligible for release is Dana Carr, who was jailed for 9 years for child neglect after her partner murdered her 2-year-old daughter, Maya Chappell, in 2022. Tom Barton has more.
It's nearly 4 years since Gemma Chappell learned her great-niece, Maya, had been killed. Maya was a bubbly 2-year-old, much loved by her family. But in September 2022, she was murdered by her mother's boyfriend, Michael Damon. He was jailed for life in 2023. Maya's mother, Dana Carr, was jailed for 9 years for child neglect and allowing the death of a child. But last night, Gemma found out that Carr will be eligible for early release under a government scheme, walking free potentially as early as the end of this year.
She hasn't even served half of the term of what she was sentenced at. She was sentenced at 9 years for causing and allowing the death of a child and child neglect. She hasn't even served 3 years of that. So we knew she was going to be out early anyway, and we tried to get used to that as much as you can do in these circumstances. We'll never get used to it in a way. However, now the fact that she's going to be out even earlier than that, it's shocking, and we've been let down.
Last month, the government paused plans to release some prisoners after serving as little as a third of their sentences. Today, though, that scheme was restarted. Some offenders, those convicted of rape, serious child sex offences and grooming, will now be excluded, but many others, including Dana Carr, will be released early.
Frankly, we wanted to go further, but we can't. If we do that, we will run out of capacity very, very quickly. So we had to make a judgment, and I know that's difficult. It's been very difficult, I know, for victims and their families to hear too. But we made the choices that we made, and that's the decision that we made.
Please open the door. Today, the Tory leader Kemi Badenoch was with police as they carried out early morning raids. He was saying that the government needs to go further.
They're only doing this now because of the pressure which I and others, Conservatives and others, have been putting on them, and we will continue to do so. We do not want to see the early release of killers. I'm glad that the government wants to stop the release of rapists, but they need to get on with it, not just talk about it.
Gemma Chappell has spent years campaigning for a change in the law that would better protect children like Maya. That campaign will continue, whether or not the woman who allowed Maya's death remains behind bars. Tom Barton, ITV News.
You're watching ITV News Time Teas. Still to come on tonight's programme.
The battle facing the custodians of York Minster due to the growing impact of climate change. We find out more.
And heavy rain moved through overnight, followed by some thundery downpours today. But the sunny spells have been developing, the temperatures have been climbing. What's the next few days got in store, though? I'll be forecast later.
Now, we've probably all taken antibiotics at one point or another, but imagine recovering from an illness only to find that medicine has caused damage to your hearing.
Well, it happens to 1 in 5 people who take a particularly powerful group of antibiotics called aminoglycosides. They are used to treat things like UTIs, tuberculosis and cystic fibrosis.
The good news is that could soon change. In the second part of our series, Hope for Hearing, Hannah Ludlow looks at the breakthrough that could protect people's hearing without stopping the life-saving drugs from doing their job.
So we've got tablets here to treat my cystic fibrosis, as well as nebulizers to help clear the mucus in my lungs.
Macaulay Tinston is no stranger to medication. In 2017, he was hospitalised with a serious infection linked to his cystic fibrosis. He was treated with strong antibiotics called aminoglycosides, which saved his life but damaged his hearing.
Living with cystic fibrosis, it's a degenerative disease, and I think on paper it can be extremely bleak, and when it comes to having treatment, you shouldn't have to worry about your hearing.
Macaulay now wears a hearing aid and says hearing loss has affected his work and personal life.
If you're in a busy environment like a pub or out for dinner, it can be difficult for me to hear exactly what it is the other person's saying. I believe there shouldn't be a trade-off between having treatment for a chronic condition and then losing your hearing as a result.
New research is hoping to put an end to that trade-off. Scientists are looking into how these antibiotics affect the ear.
So what we discovered is a new biological phenomenon called stress granules, and we know that these are activated by the aminoglycoside antibiotics. So we're now trying to discover what are the important molecules involved in those stress granules that we can target and generate drugs to target therapeutically, so we can provide a protective drug that people could take who are taking the aminoglycosides to actually prevent the hair cell loss and therefore the hearing loss.
There's also a hope of creating antibiotics that don't affect the ear in the first place.
We've been supporting researchers at Stanford University to think about how they can change the chemical structure of these aminoglycosides to retain the bacterial fighting part of the antibiotic, but remove the part that's causing the toxicity to hearing. And that's been really successful, and now they're thinking about how to move that into clinical trials.
That could help people to come out the other side and live normal lives. I think everyone's entitled to do that.
Breakthroughs that could help to save hearing as well as lives. Hannah Ludlow, ITV News.
To some more of the day's news now, and a plaque's been unveiled in North Shields remembering a former slave who was a key figure in the abolition movement. It honours American-born Frederick Douglass, 180 years after he came to the town to speak about the realities of slavery and efforts to eradicate it. The plaque remembers his visit and his contribution to the fight for equality and human rights.
Having a plaque like this, being steeped in history as well, almost 200 years, it gives people an opportunity to maybe find out a little bit more about him and relate. We're not really that different with regards to some of the issues that we're seeing today. And really for me, it's about critical thinking and conversation.
It's just another example of how open this community was to people of different religions, different colour, etc., you know. It's just great to mark that.
3 historic sites in the northeast have been shortlisted for a national award. Jesmond Old Cemetery in Newcastle, Crag End Farm in Rothbury and Berwick Record Office are among 24 nominees for England's Everyday History Heroes Award. It's a public vote which recognises teams at the sites who've helped to bring their past to life. Gateshead historian and author Professor David Olusoga says there is a lot to celebrate here.
In the industrial history, the architectural history, the social history of the Northeast, stamped into those 3 places, all of which can be voted for. You know, I do think we need to kind of shout about the history of the Northeast, and it's a place that, you know, I'm proud to be from.
Time for sport now, and Middlesbrough have completed another summer signing, and it's another American World Cup player. Max Arfston, who is seen wearing the grey hoodie here, watched Borough's open training session at the Riverside yesterday. He's completed his move to Teesside from Columbus Crew. The 25-year-old is the 3rd USA international in Middlesbrough's current squad, alongside Aidan Morris and Sebastian Berhalter.
While another day has nearly passed without Newcastle United confirming their new head coach. 38-year-old German Matthias Jaisler is replacing Eddie Howe, but administrative details are holding up his official appointment. Meanwhile, Magpies captain Bruno Guimaraes is edging closer to a move to Arsenal. It's understood that both clubs have broadly agreed on the framework of a deal, but the captain of Newcastle's women's team, on the other hand, is staying put. Former England star Demi Stokes has signed a new contract.
York City's return to the Carabao Cup is over before it started. The Minster men played their first game in the competition for 11 years last night, following their promotion back up to the Football League. They were beaten 2-0 at home by Crawley Town in the preliminary round, so York missed out on a place in the official first round next weekend.
It's not going to happen overnight and be exactly how I want it. I think there was lots tonight that looked like how I want it to look, but there was lots that didn't as well. We're probably feeling down about the fact that we've lost in the cup game, but we're also in pre-season in our eyes, you know, so it's we're not quite right yet, but we will be.
Next to York Minster and the battle facing the custodians against the elements and the growing impact of climate change on the historic building.
It stood for more than 800 years, but extreme weather is taking its toll, not least on the famous rose window, which was installed during the reign of Henry VII. It now needs urgent attention if it's to survive for the centuries to come.
Now an appeal has been launched to raise the £1.4 million needed for vital conservation work. Lisa Adlam has more.
For centuries, it's been the jewel in the crown of York Minster. The rose window has withstood siege, air raids and fire, but a rare chance to take a closer look at this 500-year-old stained glass window reveals the damage being wrought by climate change.
As it heats up, that water evaporates and takes out the salts in the stone, and that movement of salts breaks up the stone.
As well as accelerating the deterioration of the stonework surrounding the window, extreme temperatures are taking their toll on the glass, which is vulnerable to UV radiation and infrared rays. 40 years after the devastating fire caused by a lightning strike on the Minster left some 40,000 cracks across its panels, the painstaking restoration work of the 1980s is showing its age.
We will cut 2 pieces of clear glass, exactly like you see there, to the same shape.
So those repairs are starting to fail because of the extreme heats we experience here. And our climate is undoubtedly changing. And this isn't just about glass, it's also about stone as well. And those fluctuations in temperatures and that heat fatigue that we're experiencing here is accelerating those failures. So we've got to act now to safeguard this window for future generations.
To do that, teams from the Minster Centre for Excellence and specialist glaziers are working together to restore the window. An external layer of protective glazing will be installed, sharing the latest technology with heritage teams in Europe as conservators around the world face the same environmental challenges.
We're working with our international partners as well, sharing our learning, and they're sharing their learning. So it's all very exciting. So it's not too depressing.
No, I was going to say, actually, I mean, you must feel, I guess, in a way proud to be a part of this that is trying to conserve the past and look to the future.
Exactly, and that's it in a nutshell. And I think if we didn't do that, it would be incredibly depressing watching this magnificent building decay. But we're not. We are accelerating our conservation and restoration. We're using the latest technology to preserve, a 1500 window. So it is incredibly exciting.
It will cost some £1.4 million to complete, and the Minster is now fundraising to make up a £600,000 shortfall. But the price of doing nothing to protect this medieval masterpiece against a hostile climate is far higher.
Yeah, the climate is really having an impact everywhere. We have seen extreme weather in York this year, haven't we?
Yeah, often the hottest place for our region, actually, up in the high 20s again today. But at least there was a little bit of rain, and we do have the proof here, thanks to Gary for sending this in, who says it seems ages since it last rained. Not a lot, but it is better than nothing. I think we can all agree with that. I'm going to stay medieval now, though, because despite the rain and heavy showers, the skies had cleared by this afternoon in Bishop Auckland for this.
The 4th day of August, in the year of our Lord, 2026, the inaugural freedom of the town of Bishop Auckland.
Okay, so what's happening, you're asking? Well, Dame Susan Snowdon and Dr. Robert McManus have become the first ever recipients of the Freedom of the Town of Bishop Auckland. It's the highest civic honour. Why are there sheep? I will answer that. It's the highest civic honour a local council can give, purely symbolic, but it comes from the Middle Ages when it did give real rights, like you could drive sheep through the town, not in a car, perfect timing. Drive meaning herding them through the town. This is Rolls-Royce was on loan from Kinneran. There you are. No, they're just walking behind, having a lovely time. They get to graze on the common land, which will look a lot greener now, thanks to all the rain, we hope. It's your forecast.
Today's forecast: blue skies, followed by a spread of hot and cold plates. 2 sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
A few heavy showers taking us through this evening, dotted around overnight as well, where we do hold on to that humid feel. It's muggy as we make our way into tomorrow morning. Again, a scattering of showers, some of these merging together, forming longer spells of rain. But we do get the sunny spells in the mix, but there's a fresher feel. We're losing that humidity through tomorrow, pushed away by some gusty winds. Low pressure nearby has been keeping things very changeable over the last couple of days. The longer spells of rain, the showers, the thundery downpours. It's moving its way further east. As it pulls away, high pressure is trying to build from the southwest. The squeeze on those isobars there showing the breezy, sometimes blustery conditions, and also the change in wind direction pushing away that humidity. For now, though, through this evening, overnight, you can see the showers are popping up, but mostly they are well scattered, many of us avoiding them altogether. The clouds coming and going into the early hours. And with this combination, the winds coming up from the south, temperatures at around 16 or 17 degrees. So again, that muggy feel into tomorrow morning. But it is clearing away. Through the morning into the afternoon, further showers are building in. As we saw today, the chance of a few rumbles of thunder in these, but as they do move through, we're seeing a change in wind direction. We're losing that muggy air. Temperatures peaking tomorrow at around 20-21 degrees. That's about right for the time of year. So in the sunshine, out of the winds and showers, actually not feeling too bad at all. Through Wednesday and into Thursday, the low pressure is just continuing its journey. It's moving its way towards the east. It's taking a lot of the cloud, the showery rain with it. And actually behind that, things will start to dry up with those brighter breaks developing. So actually through the next few days, yes, we do have some heavy showers, calming down through Thursday into Friday, temperatures where they should be at this point in August.
2 sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
Thanks, Ross. In just a moment is the national and international news.
And I'm back with a late update for you at 10:30. Hope to see you then from all of us. Good night. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.